Alright, welcome guys to the Cottonee video for the Little Cup. Now this little cotton ball right here is the little power puff that will actually, it's a really good anti-meta pick. Cottonee is one of a few in the Little Cup that actually has the move Charm. And not only that, it's also a fairy type. So that means it does resist a ton of things. Fairies are very oppressive in Go Battle League itself, in all the other leagues, and for the Little Cup, there's no difference. Now, the thing about Cottonee, it has a very good stat pool, and it maxes out near 500. So a Cottonee is really hard to find. I don't believe there's an event out for it right now, and I think at one point there was, but that was a while ago. So getting a Cottonee is going to be a little difficult, but if you do have one, it's a pretty dang good for this cup. Now, if you see here, as I mentioned, it has a ton of resistances. It does have some weaknesses. Fire, fighting, ice, poison does ×2. So it's going to really suck if you see something with poison jab. Steel, and it's just... But it has what makes up with this for its ton of resistances. It does resist ground, it does resist water, grass, fighting, electric, etc. These resistances make Cottonee worth considering for the Little Cup. Now, the thing about Cottonee, it's like I mentioned, it does have Charm. Charm, Seed Bomb, and Grass Knot. So it puts a decent amount of shield pressure on your opponent, and at the same time, because it's a fairy type, you do get the same type attack bonus with Cottonee. Cottonee is somewhat of it's not tanky per se, but it does have a decent amount of bulk to where it can it can receive a little bit of punishment. And it's actually, the thing about Cottonee, it's cheap to power up. So Cottonee maxes out at around level 24, 25. Actually, a perfect one matches out at exactly number 25. So I would be very... Would I use it? Yes, but I would be very pressed about finding one if you don't have one already. However, like I said, cheap to power up. Not readily available, but pretty cheap. And also, its second move only costs 25 candy and 10k Stardust. It's a pretty good budget pick, and you're just going to see how effective it is for breaking the Little Cup meta. Alright, here's Cottonee for the rankings, guys, and as you see here, it kind of just, like, it's hanging below number 4. So Cottonee, the reason why it's really good is because Cottonee actually beats Dano and Wynot. Like I said, it does break the meta. Obviously, nothing's going to really break Bronzor super hard, but you know what? If you can't beat all of them, beat 2 of them. And you can beat Dino and Wynot with Cottonee. As you see here, it literally deletes Dano to the next dimension, wherever it comes from. Because, well, as the original Hydreigon user, I know how much a Hydreigon takes when it gets charmed by a Togekiss. That's bad. Basically, there's no prayer. If Dano is locked into a Cottonee, you delete it. So you can literally put Cottonee in the back, switch into a Dano, and just absolutely delete it. That's why you probably don't want to use Dano as a safe switch. Just saying. If you have Dano as a safe switch, you switch it into this thing, it's going to suck. So, as you see here, Cottonee is really interesting because there's a lot of things that it beats, but as you see, it does lose against a lot of key mons, particularly Bronzor. If you're locked into a Bronzor, you're dead. It doesn't matter what you do. So, Bronzor, even though it does break the core of Wynot and Dano, fortunately, you don't stand a prayer against the mighty Bronzor in this cup. However, extremely powerful anti-meta, as you see, very strong matchup against Dano and Wynot, and against a lot of other meta things too. And it does beat things like Shelmet, Stunky, ironically, even though it's a poison type, just because the charms do neutral damage. So, Cottonee does rank in the top 5, and the reason why it's so good is because it beats these two. You beat Dano and Wynot, that's why. Now, Cottonee, in positions, as you see in Cottonee, Cottonee's best position is as a switch. It can effectively wall a lot of mons, so you can kind of use it as safe switch, and you can close with it. So you can save shields for Cottonee, and we'll just see just how powerful Cottonee is with shield advantage. As you see here, number 11 has the lead. Would I lead with it? Yes and no. As you see here, if you start seeing a lot of these, yeah, you can lead with it. However, it's best used as a switch. Not as a closer. It doesn't close out really well, because if you do get locked into Bronzor, you do die no matter what shield scenario you are in. As a switch, Cottonee ranks at number 5, taking out all the Dragon Breath users, the cute Iggly buff, and Purrloin. So, the things that normally, like, the things that counter Bronzor, Cottonee can cover them very, very well. And it loses to Bronzor, so that's the thing. But as you see, Cottonee is very, very powerful. Best used, like I said, as either as a switch or as like a charger. Or you just leave it in shields with a back and hope that you take out their Bronzor. Cottonee's pretty comfortable. But like I said, when we go to the Matrix, we'll see just exactly how good Cottonee is in the Little Cup meta. Alright, so we have Cottonee here on the left. I put the Little League meta in the right, a little custom list I made with the top 20 of the Little Cup meta. And after we run the 2 shield scenario, as you see here, Cottonee beats a lot of things with 2 shields, man. Look at that. You only lose against Vulpix, which of course Grass is weak against fire. You go neutral against Cottonee and Bronzor. In other words, you only lose against 4 things, and technically 3, because the other one's Shadow. So, you only lose against 3 things in the 2 shield. So, like I said, very good switch. Very powerful switch. Cottonee is arguably, if I had to rate it, like, if Bronzor didn't exist, Cottonee would probably be one of the best safe switches in the game. Because as you see here, you only lose against 3 things, which is Bronzor. Actually, you could probably use Cottonee to draw out the Bronzor and then kill Bronzor, and then you go to town and do some fancy strategy. That I may not be using. So, that's the 2 shield. We go to the 1s, and in the 1 shield, we get... In the 1 shield, we do pick up a few losses. You do lose against Lickitung, Seal, Hoot Hoot, and it's just because, like, the shield scenarios, without extra shields, you can't charm down or take advantage of that charm ability. And as you see here, this is where you start losing some matchups, but still very, very strong. You still beat a lot of the meta in the 1 shield scenarios. Now, if we go to the closer, over here, in the closers, you actually, yeah, this is where Cottonee's weird. You see things that you thought you lost against, you're gonna win again. So in the closer, you only lose against the 4 things again. So in the closer, in the no shield scenario, you actually lose to the same things. You lose against Bronzor, you simultaneously KO with Cottonee, and then Vulpix. So technically 3 things in this meta are the only things that can challenge you. That makes Cottonee very, very good in even shield scenarios. Now, everyone's really interested in this. What if you give Cottonee a shield? What if Cottonee has a shield? If you have a shield, the only thing you lose against in the meta is Bronzor. And that's really good. So, like I said, there's a lot of strats you can make with using Cottonee as kind of like that anti-meta pick that you've been looking for. And it's going to be really, really good for you in the Little Cup. If it's up 2 shields, you beat everything but Bronzor. Like I said, Bronzor is the king. So Cottonee is the only thing that can't take out Bronzor. Yeah. It can't take out Bronzor. Like, if Bronzor has to, if you put this other way around, like, Cottonee just, like, dies. But like I said, Cottonee is still very, very good, very powerful, and you very much want to use it for the Little Cup. Yeah, you very much want to use it for the Little Cup, because with shield advantage, it's pretty nuts at what it can do. Now, the 2-to-1s, things might change a little bit, but I do believe you only lose against the 4 mons. Again, like I said, as long as you have shield advantage, you're only going to lose against Bronzor, you're going to simultaneously KO against Cottonee, and you only lose against Vulpix. So with shield advantage, like I said, Cottonee does, with good shields, it doesn't beat the entirety of the meta, but, you know, it does pretty dang good against the meta. So Cottonee is a monster, and Cottonee will slay a lot, except for Bronzor. That's pretty much it. The only thing you want slay is Bronzor. But like I said, in even shield scenarios and being up a shield, the only thing it really loses hard against is like Vulpix. So the thing about Cottonee is that it's very, very good. There's nothing in... Okay, so the thing about it, it does break 2 of the meta. Unfortunately, it doesn't beat Bronzor. That's the only gripe. Other than that, a lot of top picks, Cottonee does beat them. For example, Dino, Why Not, Wooper, Shelmet. It beats a ton of the meta. ton of the relevant meta. So it's going to be very, very strong in the Little Cup, particularly if you pair it with Bronzor. But like I said, Cottonee is an incredible anti-meta pick. Unfortunately, there's just nothing in this meta that beats the top 3. For example, if I put, as you see here, if you pair it with Bronzor, your bulk is F. However, look at how much coverage you have. This actually has a really good threat score, and it's insanely powerful. Insanely powerful. Now, as you see the potential threats that come over here, you're not going to see, you don't see a lot of Panseers, Darumaka's, etc. It's going to be interesting. You'll never, like, really see a Charmander. But as you see, everything that Cottonee does get tossed against, Bronzor beats. And if you look at the top of the meta scorecard, or like at the meta, this core is very powerful. Great coverage against each other, and a lot of hard counters. So Bronzor hard counters Cottonee, Cottonee hard counters Dano, Barboach, Purrloin, and Alolan Meowth. So it's very, very interesting how Cottonee and Bronzor fit together. Or Cottonee in general. Cottonee is extremely powerful and breaks the meta. Unfortunately, just like I told you, there's nothing that completely breaks it. So it's an amazing... It breaks a very relevant core. But if you look over here and we put the BBML, which is Bronzor, Dino, and Wynaut, there's nothing that takes out all 3. There's nothing that beats all 3. As you see, nothing beats all 3 of this meta. There's threats, but nothing beats all 3. See here? That's why this core is extremely powerful. However, Cottonee and Bronzor itself is an extremely powerful core, and Cottonee is able to break a lot. Is able to beat Dano and Wynaut, 2 of the 3 of the core. The key about the anti-meta of this meta is that you're going to be 2 top picks, particularly Bronzor. However, that comes with a check. Remember how we looked at the Matrix? Well, the thing about it is that Bronzor is just so oppressive. So if you look at Cottonee, so this is what I'm talking about. In summary, Cottonee is worth looking into. Very much worth looking into. It's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. It allows you to basically wall, not really wall, but like destroy Danos or like Dratinis. Absolutely give you a huge advantage against Wynaut if you do encounter one or get locked into one. And it's very, very strong. As you see here, if you're up in 2 shields, or if you're up in 2 shields against the entire meta, you run it out. You have 10 key losses, and they're all against poison types, fire types, and guess what? That Bronzor. So these are the ones you lose against. So if Cottonee isn't completely safe. However, you're not going to see a lot of Alolan Grimers, etc. You're probably going to see a lot of Bronzors. Bronzor is the one that you're definitely going to see the most out of this entire pack. That's why Cottonee, and if you look at that's why it's just so good. It's just so good. Cottonee is just so powerful against a lot of the meta. As you see here, 96 with 1 shield, it still beats a huge number of the meta. As you see here, taking on 16. So like the number 1 loss is Bronzor, of course, but as you see here, still losing the same thing. Cottonee, if you can keep it away from like poison types, etc., it's able to absolutely just like wall a lot of it's so dominant against, like I said, Dano and Wynaut. Anyways, is Cottonee worth using for the pup? For the Little Cup? Absolutely. A lot of Cottonee's like one of the picks. I'm still doing some more research to see if there's any kind of team that would be really good for Little Cup besides the BBML. Besides Dano, Wynaut, Bronzor, because we all know that team is going to come out, and if you don't have like checks like Cottonee, it's going to dominate and just absolutely like run over the meta. Like I said, Cottonee is very powerful. However, it can also be it's hard to find a Cottonee. I'd say that's the hardest part about this. Hard to find a Cottonee, and along with that, unless you plan on evolving to getting a Whimsicott, this Cottonee that you powered up isn't going to be useful. So in long-term use, Cottonee, no. For the Little Cup, it looks like it's going to break a very core meta of Dano and Wynaut. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'll be looking into more core breakers as time goes by so that you can prepare for the Little Cup.